Welcome back to Chrono Tales, where ancient terrors still roam the darkest corners of our world. I'm your host, and tonight's tale will chill you to the bone with the story of an appetite that can never be satisfied. This is the Wendigo'S hunger. In the depths of the Canadian wilderness, where winter nights stretch endlessly and hunger becomes a living thing, some appetites grow beyond human understanding. Some hungers transform you into something else entirely. November 1987. Three friends from Toronto thought they were embarking on the hunting trip of a lifetime in the remote forests of northern Ontario. Jack Morrison, a successful lawyer with more money than wilderness experience. His brother-in-law, Pete, a construction worker who'd grown up camping but had never ventured this far north. And David Chen, their mutual friend, and the only experienced hunter among them.
We should have turned back at the last ranger station. Jack, this storm's going to hit hard, and we're 50 miles from the nearest road.
Come on, Dave. We paid good money for this remote experience. A little snow never hurt anyone.
Easy for you to say. You're not the one who has to set up camp in a blizzard.
They made camp in a clearing beside a frozen lake, surrounded by towering pines that creaked ominously in the rising wind. David had chosen the spot because it offered good hunting prospects and shelter from the worst of the weather. What he didn't know was that this particular clearing had a history. The Ojibwe had avoided this area for generations. They called it Wendigo'S, the place where hunger lives. But the three city men knew nothing of indigenous warnings, nothing of the creatures that stalked the deep woods when winter's grip grew tight and food grew scarce.
Weather's getting worse. Radio says the storm's going to last 3 days minimum.
3 days. We only brought food for 5 days total.
Don't worry, Dave's the best shot I know. We'll bag something tomorrow.
That first night, as the blizzard descended with fury, none of them noticed the tracks circling their camp. Tracks too large to belong to any known animal, with claw marks that scored deep gouges in the frozen earth. They woke on the second morning to a world transformed. Snow had buried their truck up to the windows, and the storm showed no signs of letting up. Worse, something had raided their food supplies during the night.
Jesus Christ. Look at this.
Their cooler had been torn apart with inhuman strength. Claw marks raked through the metal like it was paper, and most of their supplies were gone or scattered across the snow. What remained was barely enough for 2 days. Maybe less.
What kind of animal could do this? These claw marks, they're massive.
Maybe it was a bear. Bears can be pretty destructive when they're looking for food.
Jack, bears are hibernating, and look at these tracks.
The tracks were unlike anything David had ever seen in 20 years of hunting. They were humanoid in shape, but enormous, nearly twice the size of a man's footprint, with elongated toes that ended in razor-sharp claws.
We need to get out of here now.
With what? The truck's buried, and even if we could dig it out, The roads are impassable.
Emergency services are saying no rescue operations until the storm passes. We're on our own.
As the day wore on, their situation grew more desperate. The temperature dropped to 20 below, and their remaining food wouldn't last another day. But worse than the cold, worse than the hunger, was the feeling of being watched. Pete was the first to see it clearly. As evening approached and the wind temporarily died down, he was gathering firewood when he glimpsed something moving between the trees.
Guys, there's something out there.
It stood nearly 9 feet tall, gaunt as a famine victim, but impossibly strong. Its skin was the color of old bone, stretched tight over a skeletal frame. But it was the eyes that Pete would never forget. Yellow, ancient, and filled with an insatiable hunger that had nothing to do with food.
Get inside now. All of you, get in the tent.
They huddled in their tent as darkness fell, listening to the thing moving around their camp. Sometimes it would scratch at the tent walls with claws that sounded like knives on fabric. Sometimes they could hear it breathing, deep, ragged breaths that steamed in the frigid air.
What is that thing?
I don't know, but my grandfather used to tell stories. Stories about things that lived in the deep woods.
Stories.
The Wendigo, a creature of endless hunger. My grandfather said it was once human, but it ate human flesh to survive a harsh winter, and the act transformed it into something else.
The creature stalked them through the night, but never attacked directly. It seemed to be waiting, watching, as if it knew something they didn't. As dawn approached, they discovered why.
I can't think about anything but food. When did we last eat?
Yesterday morning, but I feel like I haven't eaten in weeks.
The supernatural hunger was setting in, the Wendigo's gift to its prey. It wasn't enough for the creature to simply kill and devour them. It needed them to understand true starvation, to feel the gnawing emptiness that had driven it beyond humanity.
We need to hunt. There has to be something out there. Rabbits, birds, anything.
They ventured out into the storm, driven by a hunger that was becoming all-consuming. But the forest was eerily empty, as if every living thing had fled from the presence of the Wendigo. Hours passed without finding so much as a track. Their hunger grew beyond physical discomfort into something that clawed at their sanity. And that's when Pete made the suggestion that would damn them all.
There's meat back at camp.
What are you talking about?
The thing that's been stalking us. We could kill it.
Pete, no, you don't understand what you're saying.
I understand that I'm starving. I understand that we're all going to die out here unless we do something.
The hunger had begun its work. Rational thought was being consumed by the need to feed, to survive at any cost. And in the swirling snow, watching from between the trees, the Wendigo smiled with too many teeth. That night, as they sat around their dwindling fire, the transformation accelerated. The supernatural hunger twisted their thoughts, made every moral boundary seem negotiable in the face of starvation.
My grandmother survived the Depression. She used to tell stories about what people ate when there was nothing left.
Jack, don't.
I'm just saying. People do what they have to do to survive.
The Wendigo emerged from the tree line, no longer hiding. In the firelight, they could see it clearly. The elongated limbs, the yellowed fangs, the eyes that burned with eternal hunger. But instead of attacking, it simply waited.
It's waiting for something.
It's waiting for us to choose.
David understood now why his grandfather's stories had always ended the same way. The Wendigo didn't just kill its victims, it recruited them. It waited until the hunger drove them to cannibalism, and then it welcomed them into its eternal family of the damned.
Choose.
Did it just speak?
Choose the join.
The thing that had once been human held out one massive clawed hand. In it was meat, fresh, red meat that steamed in the freezing air. The smell hit them like a physical force, awakening every predatory instinct they possessed.
I can't, but I'm so hungry.
Fight it, Pete. This is how it spreads. This is how it makes more of itself.
But Pete was already walking toward the Wendigo, drawn by a hunger that had grown beyond his ability to resist. The creature's smile widened, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth.
Pete, no.
Jack tackled Pete to the ground, wrestling him away from the creature. But the damage was done. Pete had been marked by the Wendigo's hunger, and there was no going back.
The meat, I can smell it. I need it.
We have to leave him.
He's my brother-in-law. I can't just...
Look at him, Jack! Really, look at him!
Pete's transformation had begun. His fingers were lengthening into claws, his skin taking on the pale, waxy appearance of the Wendigo. Most terrifying of all, his eyes were changing, the warm brown irises fading to the same predatory yellow as the creature that had claimed him. Jack and David ran through the blizzard, leaving behind their camp, their supplies, and the thing that Pete was becoming. Behind them, they could hear two sets of howls now, the original Wendigo and its newest recruit. They ran for hours, following what David hoped was the direction of the main road. Just as their strength gave out, they saw the lights of a search and rescue helicopter cutting through the storm.
We've got 2 survivors here. Where's the 3rd member of your party?
He didn't make it.
The official report listed Pete Morrison as missing, presumed dead due to exposure. Jack and David never spoke publicly about what really happened in those woods. But sometimes, on the coldest winter nights, Jack would call David with the same terrified whisper.
I can hear them howling. Both of them. They're still out there.
The Ojibwe were right to avoid that place. Some hungers can never be satisfied, only passed on to others foolish enough to venture too deep into the wilderness when winter's grip grows tight and desperation makes monsters of men. So remember, when you're camping in the deep woods and you hear something moving just beyond the firelight, it might not be looking for food. It might be looking for company. And that concludes tonight's tale from Chrono Tales. Stay close to the light, and never trust a hunger that feels too strong to be natural. Until next time, keep your appetite human.